It has been 105 degrees out for the entire week, and I'm freaking tired of it. I am so tired of summer, so tired of the heat. I am a fall winter person to begin with, and this summer has been brutal. I wanted to start a little vlog because I'm reading some really good stuff right now that I'm really loving, and I want to talk about it. As per usual, I will timestamp everything down below so you can skip around if you're not here for the book stuff, but if you are, I am currently reading 3 things that I'm really, really liking. And if you saw my last vlog, I started them in my last vlog. Didn't talk too terribly much about them, but yeah. So first up, I am still rereading Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. This is an age gap romance between a woman and her brother's best friend. Destination wedding, Italy sort of situation, lots of tension, and love it so much. Like I said, it's a reread. It was one of my favorite romances last year. Isles of the Ember Dark by Brandon Sanderson. This is part of his Cosmere, but it's like also part of that collection of the Kickstarter that he got for like millions of dollars, which is absolutely crazy. But this follows a guy named Dusk, and he's kind of like a supernatural trapper. Flashback stories to when this big event that that hasn't been revealed to us happened in his past, like 5 years ago, and then current day where he's at and what he's doing with his life. I do know that this is a little bit of an adventure story. In this, he goes on a quest to like save his people or something like that. I'm really enjoying this so far. The lore is pretty interesting. The world building is pretty interesting. I would say Brandon Sanderson's strong in almost every single aspect of storytelling, but his world building is always impeccable. So I am enjoying this thus far. And then the last thing that I finished, or that I started last night, was Good People. I am 15 pages in, so I don't know if you can see my bookmark, but not very far in. This is shaping to be a very good story. So this, at first, I thought was actually like a true crime story. First page of the story basically says like law enforcement from yada yada yada, real places in the US have declined to comment, which is pretty interesting. One of the places they mention is very close to where I live, which is... Essentially, this is about a family who immigrates from Afghanistan, and something tragic happens within their story. From the outside, they seem like the perfect family living the American dream sort of situation. And then a big tragedy strikes their family, and you're getting little snippets of interviews from neighbors and people in their community talking about them at this point, just like when they came over and how they fit into the community and all that. The interviews are like 1 to 2 pages, and that's the entire story from what I gather from reviews. Is like, it's little snippets of the community's opinion of them leading up to this tragedy, and I'm sure at some point we'll get what happened to the family. But the major question of the story is like, did they find the American dream, or is it all a facade? Which I think we all know that the American dream is a facade. Audiobook that I'm listening to for my hikes and my commutes is City of Mirth and Malice. This is the second book in this fantasy romance series, I suppose. I really like the first one. I'm liking the second one okay. The audiobook is good. I don't really have too terribly much to say about it, to be honest. Other than that, like these 3 things that I'm reading right here, I'm very, very excited for. I will be doing lots of reading because unfortunately I can't do much else. Can't hike, can't do any of the other things that I love to do. So we'll be reading. And I hope that if you don't enjoy reading centered vlogs, you will check out my next one, and I'll see you there, I suppose. But if you do enjoy little reading centered videos, let's talk down below on what you're currently reading, what you're enjoying. Even if it's like TV, what TV show have you watched recently that you really love? Let me know. We'll talk TVs, animes, and all that. TV shows, animes, and all that a little bit later on. But for now, I need to get to work. So let's get into the vlog. I really hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope it's a really good week for you. Oh, I did forget to mention that I also finished Half His Age. And I unfortunately have a lot of thoughts about this that I don't know if I can articulate fully, but I just know that I really did not like this. It is my belief that if you are going to tackle traumatic problematic, harmful things, they should be dealt with in some way. I'm not necessarily saying that everything has to be resolved at the end, that the main character needs to fully realize their trauma or anything like that, but with a story like this where you are addressing or you have written a student-teacher relationship with a minor child involved, there are a couple of things that I would want from the story. One of which is for 60% of the story not to be explicit sexual scenes with the minor, and also a little bit of care put into the story. We could have removed the teacher and put anybody else in his spot, and it would not have changed the story at all. The fact that he was a teacher really didn't play a part. It didn't really affect her in any way. The fact that he was married had more of an impact. What could have been very strong for the story and what could have been a good point, like a good thing to focus on, was her relationship with her mother, herself, with men in general, and her depression. The strongest thing for me was those moments where we were seeing her be such a lonely teenager, like obsessively shopping and fixating and being so love-starved that she is willing to sacrifice parts of herself or accept these very toxic or abusive relationships for a scrap of love. Like, I would have loved a story like that. I think the student-teacher relationship was purely there for the shock value. The sex scenes were there for the shock value. Main character's personality, to a certain extent, was also there for the shock value. Story like this, with a main character that is very unlikable, is a great idea, because I think it's important to break victims being perfect expectation or mold that a lot of people are put in. That Jeanette McCurdy had a fantastic opportunity to do that, and all of those opportunities were squandered, unfortunately, in this book. And this is one of those books that I just, like, I refuse to be manipulated by an author emotionally. I refuse to think that a story is good just because it's shocking or dealing with things that are traumatic, just for the sake of it. So I guess I could articulate my thoughts on that. Like I said, I wish the story had been more about the main characters, all of the shit that her family put her through, all of the baggage that she was dealing with, and the student-teacher relationship was not there. Because I have read quite a many books, the one that comes to mind is My Dark Vanessa, that deal with a student-teacher relationship, that have portions of this that are very similar, and they do it way better because the story is about that relationship. And I just didn't really feel like the story was about the relationship here in the way that I would want in order for a topic like this to be tackled. So, overall, I thought that her memoir was very strong. Obviously, like, I'm not gonna shit on someone's telling their life story. But I think her first foray into fiction was a little bit of a miss. So, those are just my thoughts. I know quite a few people loved it. I know quite a few people didn't love it. And I'm one of those that did not, unfortunately. I unfortunately have to take a break to make some lunch, but I thought we could talk about where I'm at with Good People. I am over halfway through. This does not have numbered pages, but I think I'm like 250-ish, 260-ish pages in. I have been eating this book up like I have not in so long, and it's incredible. It's not something that I initially was like super excited about. I kind of just picked it up because it sounded good or whatever. I was like, this will probably be a more typical literary fiction, which is not my preferred genre, but I wanted to change things up. So my expectations for it were like, it was probably going to be good, but I didn't quite know how good it was going to be. And when I say that, like, I have not finished it and it's already a 5-star. I've already gotten to the tragedy. The way that this is written is truly incredible. It's written in very short chapters of like interview style with people in their lives. There is such a varied array of opinions on this family. So we obviously follow the family from when oldest children are very young to when youngest children are kids. The oldest daughter is in high school. You're getting a ton of different points of view of, like I said, the community's impressions of them throughout the years, when they first immigrated all the way up to when this tragedy strikes. And everybody has such wildly different opinions. Everybody has different takes on different instances. So in some interviews, you're getting the idea that they were this very loving family with very indulgent parents, and that they, you know, took care of their kids and kind of spoiled their kids to a certain extent. And then from other points of view, you're seeing this family that was very strict, repressed their children in some ways. Points of view on the children, on the parents, everything. Like, everything to do with this family's lives. You're hearing from the teachers and the principals and the friends and just every person that might have interacted with this family at one time. And it's such a fascinating way to uncover this very layered mystery, because it doesn't feel like, it keeps up the suspense and the mystery of it all, because you don't know what this tragedy is. You don't know who this tragedy involves. You don't know. But you also don't really know, like, the truth, like the objective truth of the family. There's just so many... Okay, sorry about that. I was talking to my partner. So, like I said, this is just so incredibly layered in a way that I am really not used to with, like, mystery type stories, in a way that works so well. Like, the fact that we are seeing so many facets of this family's life, and it's not like with the investigative format, we're not getting other people's lives. Like, obviously we're getting other people's perceptions, and those perceptions are shaped by that person's life, but we're not necessarily getting anything more than information on the family itself, which I appreciate, which really connects you to the family, because even though you're not getting their point of view, you're not hearing from them, what could be a setup that lacks that emotional connection, I am feeling very connected to each member of the family, each member of the family's pain, and the way that this family functions. And it's going so incredibly well, and I'm really loving it. I'm interested to see how the story wraps up, because I don't necessarily think that this could end in a happily ever after type way, like everything's just wrapped up in a neat little bow. Little author's note at the very end says, Good People is not a retelling of any one case, and the characters in this book are fictional and not representative of real people. Rather, it is an attempt to tell a story of not the fact, but the possibility of an honor crime, and to tell it at a deeper level than the sensationalized narratives that so dominate the media coverage of such cases. And though voices that are largely silent, unsought in the aftermath of such events. It's just going very well. It's going so well, and I'm really loving it. I'm so happy that I'm loving it as much as I did. Like I said, this was kind of just something that I picked up on a whim, and actually it's just so spectacular. It's really good. So I right now am going to finish reading this. I have Riverdale on in the background. I started a rewatch of Riverdale. The first couple seasons of Riverdale is truly unmatched by any other teen show. Like, it's spectacular. and then it just goes off the rails. But I've been watching it in the background and reading my book. So let's get back into it, and we'll talk when it's done. Okay, let's talk about final thoughts of Good People. This was definitely a 5-star read. This was really, really, really good. Like I anticipated, the ending was not like a happy ending by any means. And if you are someone that needs clear answers, I would say the ending to this is not going to be satisfying for you. But I think it like makes a lot of sense and really works with the story. I don't necessarily think it's like a bad ending or the wrong ending for the story, obviously. But I'm just saying it's not like clear cut, wrapped up in a neat bow with you having all of the answers. But it was really, really good. And I think the thing that aside from all of the things that I mentioned in my previous clip, something that I really enjoyed about this novel is that it's written with a lot of heart and emotion. However, it's not trying to manipulate you into thinking and feeling a certain way. Every perspective, every side of the story is told in this. Every angle, everything. Like, there is multiple chapters from each angle. Each person has a different opinion. I appreciate that this doesn't try to tell you how to feel. Like, you are really left to form your own opinions about everything. Like, literally everything is open to interpretation. It's open to your own beliefs, your own biases, like everything. And you don't leave the story with feeling like the author is telling you what is the right way to think about the story, which I really appreciate. I think that level of nuance in a literary fiction or in a fiction story is what I look for. I don't want to be spoon-fed how I should be feeling. I want to be given multiple sides of a story. I want to be able to form my own opinions, and yeah, that's what this story did. So really, really, really good. I can see this being on my best ofs list at the end of the year, and I would really like more people to read this and talk to me about it, because something that I saw in multiple reviews is like, this is a really good book club book, which I agree with, because there's so much to talk about here that I want people to talk about. So if you have not read this, please read it. And if you have, let's talk down in the comments about it. Please and thank you. But that means that I need to pick up something else, and I kind of want an easy breezy story. So I do still technically have Isles of the Emberdark, and I haven't gotten much further in, and the audiobook for this did come through my library. But Brandon Sanderson's writing is gorgeous, it's lush, it's full-bodied in so many ways, but it's not exactly what I need for the moment after something heavy like that. So I'm going to pick up Problematic Summer Romance. I haven't read any more. I'm still right here. And I'm going to be reading this and watching Riverdale for the rest of the day. It is 3 o'clock on Friday, and it's blazing hot out, so I pretty much am not going to be doing any moving for the rest of the weekend, like rest of today, rest of the weekend. I do want to play a little bit of Lorcana, one of the multiple card games that my partner and I play, but a new set for that card game is coming out, and the online platform for it has the cards available, so you can like play test and stuff. I'm working on a deck that I really, really like, but I want to play test it to make sure that I'm actually interested in continuing to play it. So I need to get a couple of matches into that. So I'm probably going to make a little bed on the floor where it's nice and cool, and get some matches in while I watch some Riverdale. So we'll probably talk a little bit later on when I have read some of this. I also did pick up the ebook for City of Mirth and Malice because the audiobook was returning to my library, and I figured I needed an ebook anyways to read like in bed and stuff like that. So that is the situation. I'm going to do all of those things and come back whenever we're reading stuff and have thoughts, I guess. Happy Saturday, friends. Since we last talked, I've been doing a lot of reading. When my partner got home last night, we played some Lorcana. The deck that I was thinking of building just didn't end up working, so last night after I figured out that it didn't work, I read for a little bit, watched some TV, and then my partner got home and we played Lorcana. But I've been reading Problematic Summer Romance still. I got 126 pages in. Still loving it. Still obsessed. As you can see, I have some dog-eared pages. I don't know if they're showing up, but we have some dog ears. And then I also read a little bit of City of Mirth and Malice. I'm liking the ebook a little bit more than I did the audiobook. Like, I'm a little bit more intrigued by the story via ebook, which is interesting. I'm gonna watch a little bit of Riverdale and get some journaling done. I haven't been in the best place mentally the past couple of weeks, so I've really fallen behind with my journaling. So I have about a week and a half to catch up on, which is just like collage making, add books that I'm reading, do a summary of my week and stuff like that. So I am currently using the Hobonichi weeks, and I really, really love it. I use the dailies as a memory keeping, and then I use this left side as like a collage type deal. So I need to do the collage for last week, and then I need to get started on this week, or do a recap of this week and do some thoughts and stuff. So we're gonna journal and watch Riverdale, and then we're gonna get back into Problematic Summer Romance. I would like to finish this today. Tomorrow my partner and I we have a Lorcana event, so that's probably gonna take all day. It starts at 11. It's probably gonna take the majority of the day, so I don't know how much reading I'm gonna get done tomorrow, so I would like to knock out as much of this as I can. It should be doable, unless I get sucked into Riverdale. I'm into season 2, and like I said, this is just so good. It's just peak everything. So unless I get sucked into Riverdale, I'm hoping to get a good portion of the way through that today. So let's get into journaling. Okay, it is 4 o'clock on Saturday, and I have officially finished Problematic Summer Romance, and I hope my fans aren't too terribly annoying and loud, but it's 105 degrees here, so I will say that it was really, really good. I will continue to give this 5 stars. I love it so much. And there's just something about the man that Connor is that is just like, I love it. I love how different this romance feels than a lot or all of Allie's other books. Don't get me wrong, I love Allie, but this one, there's just something about it that I think it's mostly the heroine. Like, the hero himself, he's very typical, uptight, broody. Aside from the age gap, he's very common of her other heroes, but the heroine herself is completely different. She's not this like galaxy legging wearing woman. She's very smart and intelligent, and she is in STEM, but she's very headstrong. She goes after Connor in a way that we don't tend to see in Allie's books, which I really appreciate. I think she is one of my favorite Allie characters, if not my favorite. I really, really, really liked the reread of this. I loved my time with the story. I absolutely devoured it once I actually got into it. I think I stopped to like make lunch, and that was it. So I have been reading like crazy and really, really enjoying it. Now, the last thing for me, well, not the last thing for me to read, because I still have all of the books over there. But next, I want to read Isles of the Ember Dark. I haven't read any more of it, but I plan to read that for the rest of the day in between watching Riverdale. So,